Hi guys, this is the final of the WA State Open for 2009. In it you're going to be seeing myself playing my training partner Colin. In this particular match I'm using my T-Mobile Spirit Blade, Killer Spin Fortissimo Speed Glue Rubber on the forehand, the red side, my Stiga Destroyer long pips on the back. Colin's using a defensive blade, just like a Stiga defensive blade. Mark 5 1.5mm on the forehand, the red, and TSP curl P1-R, no sponge on his chopping side on the back side. So Colin, you'll see, plays a good defensive game with very good serves and a good attack. I'm in this match trying to stand up close to the table and play an aggressive close to the table long pip game. So I've only been doing it at this stage for maybe 2 weeks, so we'll get into it and just see how it turns out. Okay, well, this is only a couple of days after the actual match took place, so most things are still quite fresh in my mind. First thing I was thinking, playing Colin, is he's got a very solid defence and a dangerous forehand attack when he wants to counter-attack or when he's serving and following up. So I wanted to be aggressive. I didn't want to give him a chance to come in and pick me off with his forehand. So I wanted to make sure that any pushes I'm doing is low, just to make sure that I keep him out. So let's just see how we go from here. And there's a perfect example of what Colin can do. A very nasty serve, a kicking serve, gets me to pop it up a little bit with my push on the long pimples, and he really has the ability to go both ways. So instead, the next time I roll it with the pips, and now I'm in. And you'll see this will be a feature of this match to a certain extent, as you'll notice that although I'm hitting reasonably consistently with the attack, I'm lacking just that little bit of power, penetration, the flatter, faster shot to give me a put away against Colin's really solid defence, and that really did cost me. So that'll be something I'll be working on. Oh, a bit of a lucky push there. I need all I can get at this stage. And you can see Colin's chopping well, and I'm ending up winning that rally, but I'm really ending up having to lift a lot of balls. I really wanted to try and get him to chop up high with not too much spin so that I could pick it off. The problem was on the night he really did chop well. He chopped low, and when he did chop higher, he chopped quite spinny. The long pips really do load up the spin in an experienced player like Colin. Using those long pips to chop really does come out heavy, and even on his forehand side he was still chopping very well, and so I was finding it very, very difficult to get a ball that I could really power at him or power to the wings, and so I ended up hitting too many high arcing balls really. And there, got a win. Colin to serve again, and I'm rolling with the long pips and into attack mode, and a little bit upright, I think. Still, it's tough playing a chopper like Colin. I would have been better off playing someone who really attacked at me rather than someone like Colin who's mixing it up. Would have suited my close to the table style now a little bit more, because he would have then been coming at me a bit more and allowing me to chop and block, whereas here I'm having to lift the ball a lot against the defence, and it hasn't been something I've practiced a lot over the last year or two, being the aggressor against a chopper and trying to force the pace. So I didn't do too badly, but obviously a lot of room still for improvement, and I'll work on that in the future. Getting towards the ending part of this particular game, good roll there, and and you can see now I'm being forced to lift the ball, and Colin got me on that one. Not a great push on my part there. So end of game one. The first game reasonably close. I've made a few mistakes along the way, done a couple of decent shots, sort of seen where the match is going to go from here, where I can see that Colin's looking to play fairly defensively with occasional pick-offs. If he can pick off, get an easy serve and a third ball, he'll do it. If he can force me to push the ball when I'm looping, push high, he'll come in and pick it off. Other than that, he's going to play a very heavy defensive game, good heavy backspin, forcing me to lift the ball without a lot of pace, but a fair bit of spin, which then feeds into his long pips. So I'm kind of at this point thinking, well, I've got to try and break up the game a little bit. I want to get not necessarily something different, but I just really need to be able to impose a more powerful attack when possible, and don't let him come in and pick me off there. And there's a good example of his very good forehand. But I know I'm not going to take a backward step. I'm not going back to chop. I'm going to stay up there and try and do it. And another good example of his serves, which he's just got very tough serves. Very good, hard to read, good variation. A very good example. Colin's a very good example of not so much the way he hides it a little bit, because that's a throwback to his old the days of hiding the ball. But if you just watch his style, to how he manages to get on that forehand side, the kicker serve and the backspin serve both going from that forehand pendulum, he's a very good example of what can be done with good serves and a very nice third ball attack that can go in really any direction, because his footwork and positioning is very good. So here, from this angle, you can see I could be lower with the legs. I'm still a little bit too much upright. I'm having to arc the ball a lot. I really can't get the power in. So you're not seeing me, the ball's coming up off my racket and over the net, rather than driving forward and having the ball going flat. And it's mainly because I'm so scared, in this case, of his backspin. And also still taking the ball a little bit too close to my body. I haven't had a chance really to work on any technique issues of getting the ball a bit further away, so I'm losing leverage in that respect as well in terms of my technique, losing some of my opportunity to make power because I'm taking the ball way too close. Okay, and this pattern you're going to see a lot in this match. I get in, Colin chops a couple of good ones, I push it, he comes in and pushes the push tight, and quite often, and unfortunately too often in this particular match, I'm the one who eventually makes a mistake with the attack, and got caught there. But I'll learn. I've only been playing this particular style a couple of weeks, so I'm certainly not, although I don't think I played wonderfully well in this match, I didn't play badly, and Colin certainly just played a little bit too good for me. So I wasn't disgraced. At the time, I really just didn't have the tools for this style to put quite enough pressure on him to really be in danger of have a chance of winning the match. The return of serves, a couple too many misses on the return of serve, a few too many also in terms of the few too many misses on my forehand technique and things like that, which all cost me in the end. A good flick there. Again, something I'll need to be working on a bit more in the future to get a better flick. And just here, really not quite the power that someone like a Giovanni can generate. Different technique. I'm starting low, spinning heavily, and then again missing, making just simple mistakes that hopefully in the future, as I clean up my technique, won't occur. So certainly some things that I'm looking forward to practicing over the next 6 months to see whether I can get that all working a lot better. And so at the moment, now looking at 2-0 down. Wasn't too badly beaten in that game, but not super close. Wanting in this case now to certainly, I don't necessarily want to change game plans completely, but I need to put Colin under a little bit more pressure. If I just go along, keep doing the same things that I'm doing, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble, because basically Colin's he's not bad from coming back from behind, but he's also very good with a lead. He's not going to mess with anything, and as long as he's got that edge and he's on top, he's going to keep doing what he's doing and just make life very difficult for me. So while every game is important, this third game is a very crucial game. If I lose this one, I'm down 3-0 and things are going to get very tough. If I can win it, it's 2-1 and I'm back with a little bit of momentum on my side. So I definitely wanted to get in here and try and take this game, to give myself a reasonable shot at maybe still getting a win on the night. Good twiddle there, and on blocking Colin's shot. So again, I'm aware that I'm in my head during this game. I'm still aware I want to get low. I don't want to back up. I don't want to try and pick which side he's hitting, and also a little bit aware that I'm missing a few forehands. I felt a little bit like I was taking the eye off the ball, so I was definitely trying to make sure that I'm watching the ball a little bit better, and not a great push there. And again, against someone like Colin, who has definitely a very good counter attack, that kind of thing just costs you so badly. And went for the kill, and just a fraction slow, getting around, still searching perhaps for the best hit and technique with the rubber, and my own forehand technique, and things like that just cost you in the end. I'm not mixing it badly though. There's some good looping to a roll with the long pips. So I am mixing up the game. A backhand loop there with inverted into the forehand, and just missed the push there. Trying a little bit hard for too much to make Colin run around on that backhand corner. And just not a great effort there, unfortunately. And got away with it that time. So I'm up a little bit in this game at the moment. Kind of happy how things are going, that I'm mixing things up. I'm putting Colin under a little bit more pressure. We're having some good rallies, and about this sort of point I'm just kind of starting to think towards, yes, if I'm going well, if I can get this game, then things are going to sort of be a bit different. And perhaps that's the point at which I suddenly change focus from thinking about this game to start thinking about the next one a little bit too much, instead of playing in the moment. Again, I think I'm about 8-5 there. Went for the big forehand down the line, a little bit slow, missed it, and instead of 9-5, we're now 6-8, and those little things can make a difference. And technically, I think you can still see me when I'm lifting Colin's chops. There's still a little bit of sort of leaning with the right shoulder. The best example I can give that is if you have a look at my right shoulder when I'm playing this shot against Colin, you'll notice how my right shoulder dips in comparison to my left, and then at the end of the shot my right shoulder has come up on the forehand side. Now, although you could argue that's kind of necessary to help lift the ball over, if you watch some of the pros, especially someone like Colin, who has very nice classical technique, but virtually any of the good pros, Wang Le Quinn or Marlin or any of these guys, watch them play against that chop ball. Although the bat will go down, the arm will go down, what you won't see is you won't necessarily see the right shoulder dip down. So the shoulders tend to stay level, and they go down with their knees, and they bring the bat down, but they bring the arm down but not the shoulder. They don't change the tilt of their shoulders. And as you can see here and here, my right shoulder really does dip down. Okay, that's really a flaw in my technique, and it tilts me off balance and it hurts my recovery, and is not great for good technique either. So that's again something I'm going to be working on. I'm going to be working on the robot to start with, against a chop ball, keeping shoulders level, getting my bat down and getting my knees widen down to the ball, get the bat down, but not by dipping down my shoulder, just by moving the arm down into position. That should help give me better power through the ball and better balance and technique. So, and also a wider stance. I'm not too bad, but could be better. And as you can see here, I'm being forced against Colin's heavy chop to lift very high, and as soon as I put in a weaker ball, Colin comes in, picks it off, and that's just about all she wrote for this third game, really. And Colin, in his case, if you look at Colin's forehand technique, which is very clean, very good, very solid technically in comparison to mine, which is a little bit more scratchy, simply because my forehand technique is never been great, and I'm still working to improve it. And against a solid defender like Colin, this sort of flaw can get exposed here. It's not to say that if I had a better forehand technique I'm going to win this match. That's not it at all, because Colin could probably lift further, do other things, change his game, change his tactics. But at the moment, playing the style he's playing, I'm not able to put him under enough pressure to force him to do anything different. He got away with that game there, picked off a few attacks. He's 3-0 up, and if I was him, I'd be kind of thinking, well, as long as I keep doing what I'm doing, Greg's missing enough balls for me to basically, I'm going to get through and I'm going to win. But having said that, you'll watch him in this final game coming up. You'll see I've decided, coming off court when I was talking to my partner off court, I've decided that I can either try and play very defensively, tie up the game, bog Colin down, and just basically slow everything down, and then try and pick off the occasional attack, standing up close. Or I can try and notch it up another notch on my attack and get through. And possibly made the wrong decision here. I tried to go harder, and it could have cost me, I guess. And you can see here 2 service mistakes, 2 good serves, and I just haven't returned them well. So I'm now love 2 down in the 4th. I'm looking to notch up my power a bit. I want to try and zip a couple of balls through him. So I'm going to go a bit harder. Edge ball block, but if it hadn't hit the edge, it probably would have been a winner anyway for him, because I wasn't expecting him to come up and block it. So I'm love 3. Really just thinking, okay, relax, keep going through your process. There you can see me trying to go a bit harder, and I'm in position for the block but couldn't make the block. So we're 4-0, 2 sloppy returns of serves, or bad returns of serves, an edge ball. Colin's hit a good attack that I couldn't block on the table, and now I'm 4-0 down, 5-0 down, a 3rd service return error. Finally get a serve back on the table, trying to go harder, get a point, so that time it's a little bit better. It would be interesting if you go back and perhaps watch some of the stuff of Giovanni playing Colin that I've got on my website from earlier times, and watch how Giovanni hits very much flat. You'd see a very different trajectory between my strokes and Giovanni's on that forehand side, where mine's arcing up and over, Gio's are going forward and then down. Different technique, and I don't want to necessarily play like Giovanni, just I need to be able to incorporate more power into the stroke. And things just not going well here. I've tried to up the power, I've hit the ball off the end of the table, I've hit the ball onto the net and off the table, I've missed a couple, and just not going my way at all. At which point really there's not much to do. I could call a timeout at this point, but it didn't seem pointless, but I already knew what I wanted to do. There wasn't. I just had to do it better, and I wasn't able to do it on the night. I didn't need to really change plans. And yeah, basically I think I'm about 10-3 down here, just been outplayed in this last game. And sometimes that will happen and you just have to say, well done, Colin. I'll have another go later and come back, train hard and see if I can do better next year.